This is Candy with eyes2jesus.blogspot.com, and welcome to today's edition of Anti-Vlogmas for December 12th. And this is an interesting day. Christian, do you ever have a time when you get, for lack of a better way to describe it, data download the Lord leads you to and puts so much information in your head on something that your head hurts? Actually, I do have a headache, but that's not why. I don't know why I have a headache. But your head hurts, not in a headache sense, but it's almost like a brain hurt. And you're trying to store all that information and get it out before you lose it. That's today. So let's get started with today's Anti-Vlogmas. First of all, I wanted to share a praise report with you and thank you for your prayers. My friend that I have been mentioning throughout this Anti-Vlogmas, who had the child in the hospital, he is out of the hospital now and is recovering well. It turns out that the issue was caused by a rare, severe reaction to a medication, and it was attacking his kidneys. So he is now home and doing much better and resting. So join me in praising God for that. That is fabulous news. And brothers and sisters in Christ, thank you for praying with me and with them on that issue. And then yet, like I said, I do have a bit of a headache. It's probably hormonal. And I really try not to take Advil or anything for my headaches. Today I've actually been managing it with some acupressure pressure points. So, you know, when it starts to come back a bit stronger, I hit some pressure points and then it seems to go away. So that's pretty cool. And the more that I can learn how to do pain management, such as headaches or whatnot, naturally the better, because I'm in my 40s. Each day I'm getting closer to menopause, and I know that my body is going through hormonal changes, and I want to go through all those changes naturally and healthily. So because of my headache, I did not get up this morning at my normal time. My alarm went off. My head hurt, so I decided I'm going to turn off the alarm and just sleep for a little while longer and see if that'll help my headache. It didn't, but it led to, by the way, I keep looking down, so I just have a list here. But it led to an interesting dream that I had, and I'm going to share this dream with you. So, I'm not going to get into the details of the beginnings of the dream because it was very boring, but I should tell you I normally dream lucidly, almost every single dream all the time. When I so desire, I can pick and choose my dreams. When I'm dreaming, I usually know I'm dreaming. If I don't like where the dream is going, I will change it, end it, restart it. I can rewind in my dreams and go, no, back up. We're going to change it and have this happen instead. And what I love about my dreams is sometimes if I've been researching something, sometimes I get the answer in my dreams because I'll continue figuring it out and studying it in my dreams. I will look over the data that I had collected, and pieces of the puzzle often will come together that way. And I remember my dreams. I remember all my dreams. It doesn't mean that I don't forget them as the days go by, because just like, you know, I don't remember everything that I've ever watched on TV. I don't remember every single thing I see every single day. I certainly do not have a photographic memory. But yeah, I remember my dreams. I definitely dream in color. I have usually full control over my dreams. So when I get the occasional, and I mean very rare dream, where as I'm dreaming, I actually don't know I'm dreaming, those dreams are usually even more vivid, and I remember them even more, and usually for years. And I had one of those dreams this morning when I decided to turn off my alarm and go back to sleep because I had a headache. I had one of those types of dreams. So I thought I'd share that dream with you because it, interestingly enough, ends up tying in with other stuff I'm going to be discussing with you today. So, and I had no idea I was going to be discussing this with you today. So anyways, like I said, my dreams, they go for hours. Sometimes I'll have the same dream all night, and sometimes I usually have 2 or 3. So I went back to sleep after turning off my alarm because my head hurt, and I decided I'm just going to sleep until I wake up and see if that helps me feel better. Maybe I'm overtired, overworked, etc. And I'm not going to go over the beginning of the dream. It was very day-to-day, normal, everyday things. But the dream ended up leading to where I was outside on the porch. And this was at a different house. We could actually see the skyline pretty well. Where we're at right now, we are literally in the middle of the forest. There's trees everywhere. Whatever house I was at then, I was outside on the porch, and it was early in the morning. It was before sunrise. So in my dream, I had gotten up, woken up when my alarm went off. And I look east. First of all, that's the first thing that's strange. I'm horrible with directions. North, east, southwest. Give me a compass and I can do well. But in my dream, I knew I was looking east. And so yeah, thinking back on that, I thought that was interesting. So I look east and I see a cluster of lights. They look like stars, but they're all clustered together kind of in an ovally, almost football-y shape. And there's a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch. And I'm looking at that going, well, that's really strange because that's definitely not stars. And then after I look at it for a moment, these clusters start separating a bit and moving out. They're moving from east to west. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is the coolest UFO sighting I've had so far. And yes, I have seen UFOs. And no, I do not believe that they are from aliens. And so I'm watching that, and as they're getting closer, I'm getting ready to focus my eyes and try to look at them as I go overhead, because it looks like they're going to pass over. And they're way up in the sky. Like I said, they look like stars, like about the diameter of Venus, how you see Venus early in the morning. And so I'm waiting. It's like, okay, when they pass overhead, I'm going to have the best chance of seeing them the best that I can. I didn't want to take my eyes off of them. And so they pass overhead, and I take a look, and I can't make out a shape yet at this point, but they have, their lights became more focused as they were overhead. I can see that the light on each craft was not just a headlight or a spotlight like it looked like from far away. It was an infinity symbol. And that was very strange and interesting. And then they flew over, and then they went off west and disappeared. And so I'm sitting there just thinking about it. You know, the rest of the family, my husband and everyone's asleep. And I'm just staying outside, just pondering, you know, what that was. Thinking, wow, is that demonic tech working with our government? What is that? And then I look east again, and there's some more of those lights again. And this time the cluster is smaller. And I watch as they fly overhead, and again I see that their lights on each craft is shaped as an infinity symbol. At this point, I heard my husband coming into the living room in my dream. It must have been summer, and we had a window open or something. And he actually had something downloading on his laptop, and so he had just gotten up, and he came down, sat on the couch, and was checking his download and tapping on something he was working on. And so I'm thinking, okay, if I see these again, I'm going to scream for him to come out. I'm right by the window, it's open, he'll be able to hear me, because I don't want to miss him. And I look east again, third time. And I see them coming over again, and this was the last time I saw them. And by this time it was starting to get light. It was still a bit dim. And third time, this time as they're flying over, I see again the infinity symbols, but I see these infinity symbols are on top of the crafts, and that the crafts are shaped like triangles. And I'm able to, in my dream, zoom in on one of the craft. And from far away it kind of looks like a perfect triangle, but when you zoom in, you'll see it kind of stair steps in a bit. There seems to be certain specific components to it that changes its structure a bit, probably technological. And some of the metal on it was more of a metal color, but there were some components as it stepped in that was more kind of orangey yellow colored, like it was some type of tech, and I didn't know what it was. And then as I'm watching it, a few of those craft, and this part's really hard to put into words. This is going to sound stupid, but I don't know how else to put it into words. They come flying over to me. They get smaller, and they get in front of me, and then they turn into a woman's straw gardening hat, and it drops into my hands. and then the crafts are back in the sky and they disappear. Now, while the whole time that's happening, when I saw them again the third time, I'm yelling through the window for my husband to come out and see them. And he said, okay, just a moment. I got to finish typing this or I'm going to lose all my work. And it was probably something he was doing for work. And he missed it. So, yeah, I need to let my husband know if I'm yelling UFOs, go ahead and lose your work and get out there and see it. So, I was given this hat. And I thought that was very strange. And then I got to thinking about it later today. Oh, let me back up because this is really funny. Paige, my friend, if you're watching this, this is really funny. So, I get this hat. So after that, I just knew I wasn't going to see any more of the UFOs. I saw them 3 times. And so I walked in holding the hat, showed it to my husband, and was explaining it to him. And he's kind of looking at me like he wants to believe me, but that sounds a little wacky. But he knows me, and he knows that I tell the truth, no matter how ludicrous it sounds. So he's soaking it in, but he's like, you know. And then I never put the hat on. And I wish I did, because maybe that would have been more to it that I'll tell you about in a moment. But when I was in the middle of describing what I saw outside to my husband, I wake up. I wake up because I hear a ding. My friend Paige PM'd me. And she PM'd me something incredibly outlandish and out of this world and really weird. She PM'd me, she said, see if I can remember it verbatim. She said, am I going mad? Or did you mention something about you and a fridge? Well, I don't think she's going mad, but I definitely didn't mention anything about me and a fridge, and that was just way out of left field. And that's how I woke up, and I woke up to a really strange PM. So I just, told her, no, my refrigerator is operating normally, and left it at that. And then she responded, oh, okay. So I thought that was really funny. That's how I woke up, and I woke up to that really strange message from Paige. So, as I was pondering that dream later, I was praying that God would give me a revelation. And one of the revelations that came to me was that the hat, what do you do with the hat? What's the purpose of a hat? You put the hat on your head, and what does the head symbolize? I mean, it can symbolize authority, like my head covering, but a hat on the head in my dream symbolized knowledge. And that's all I got so far. However, these UFO craft I saw in my dream, especially if you have an N-type personality, you will see how that ends up working really well into what else I'm going to discuss with you in today's video. But I thought I'd share that dream with you because that was literally out of this world strange. Alright, so let's move on. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention, and I'm going to share a clip. The infinity symbol on these triangular shaped craft I thought was very interesting, and when I was thinking about the dream and I thought about the infinity symbols on each individual craft, it reminded me of a strange sighting that my husband, children, friends, a whole bunch of us saw on the evening of June 9th, 2017. And this strange thing in the sky also exhibited a lit up infinity symbol. So we had our camera out, we had it set to near infrared spectrum, and our camera zooms in about as good as some of the telescopes out there. We have a telescope, and our camera actually does better than our telescope. So we did a very tight zoom in on it in near infrared, and I'm just going to show you right now a video clip of that object that we saw on June 9th, 2017. Being interesting stuff, right? And everything I've just said to you, with this craft and all that, is going to actually, coincidentally, maybe not, it's going to tie into my anti-Christmas message for you today. And this could be considered kind of an intense anti-Vlogmas. I mean, sharing my dream, that's kind of very that's very out there. And the scripture I'm going to share with you today is very intense, very intense. If you are a Christian and you are still justifying celebrating Christmas, or you're on the fence, or you're defending Christmas, you need to just seriously listen to this. And if you're a Christian who has come out of Christmas, then of course you need to listen to this as well. But this is very, very intense. All right, I'd like if you follow along with me on this, because I'm going to be referencing back and forth. If you can turn in your King James Bible to 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 1 through 11. All right, and that says, "But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, Ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. Why? For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then Solomon built an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. And he commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it unto thy servant." This is what led to the division of Israel. What led to the division of Israel was Solomon, the wisest man in the world, going after the false gods. So let's take a look at some points here. Verse 4 says that Solomon's heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. All right, how was that the case? Well, as we see from the context and topic here in the passage that we just read, your heart is perfect with the Lord when you are not whoring after false gods. All right, let's look at verse 6. Now, it says that Solomon went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. So it doesn't say that Solomon eschewed the Lord and changed religions and converted to the Moabite religion or whatnot. No, he was still worshiping the Lord, but not fully anymore, because now he was adding traditions and rituals of these false gods of the land. So, because he was no longer going fully after the Lord, but that his heart was now going after these false gods as well, his heart was not perfect with the Lord, as was the heart of King David. All right, verse 5. Now, where it says, "For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians." Ashtoreth, other names she's known under is the Queen of Heaven. For example, I think Jeremiah chapter 7. She's also known as Diana. She's mentioned in the New Testament. And around the world, she's also known as Isis and Ishtar. And Ishtar is actually, it's spelled phonetically like Ishtar, but it's pronounced Easter. And now we spell Easter more phonetically as Easter, so that we know to pronounce it Easter and not Ishtar. And that's where you get the pagan fertility worship day of Easter. Christians are to remember Christ's death via the communion. Christians are not to be partaking in Ishtar, Ashtoreth, Easter. All right, also in verse 5, it says that he also went after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Milcom is another name for Molech, which is another name for Baal. Milcom was the son of Ashtoreth. And this Milcom, the son of Ashtoreth, was born on December 25th. And that's the origination of Christmas. Has nothing to do with Christ. Okay, now, verse 7. Let's see here. So, we were just kind of looking at that. Let's take a look at verse 8. Why did Solomon start going after these false gods? He didn't abandon the one true God, but he started going after these false gods. Why? It says in verse 8, he did it for all his strange wives, for all of his wives, to help them in their religion. So he built the high places where his wives could burn the incense to their gods. He was supporting them in their worship of these false gods instead of trying to bring them to the one true God. All right, let's see here. Okay, in verse 9, it says that, why was the Lord angry with Solomon? Because his heart was turned from the Lord his God. Okay, and let's look again at verse 7, where we see also some other names for Baal. We see Chemosh and Molech. These are different names of the same God for the different people. So for his Moabite wives, he set some stuff up for Chemosh. For his Ammonite wives, he set stuff up for Molech, which is also known as Milcom. They knew him as both. And these are all just different names for Baal. All right, and it says that he built a high place for Chemosh. He built a high place, and it was in the hill that is before Jerusalem. This reminds me of when the Israelites built the golden calf before the altar of the Lord, that they had a feast unto the Lord, and then after they did their duty to God and had their feast unto the Lord, then they did their duty unto the golden calf and had their celebration for that golden calf. All right, and then, so yeah, here we have that Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, which is Molech or Baal, in the hill that is before Jerusalem. And I wanted to focus a bit more on high place and how this ties into Christmas. All right, if you look at 1 Kings chapter 14, just a few chapters later in verse 23, it says, for they also built them high places and images and groves on every high hill and under every green tree. How do you have a high place under a green tree? Because sometimes a high place is literally on a hill, and it could be these green trees were on the hill. But either way, it's saying under every green tree. So even if these green trees are on a high place like a hill, why is it mentioning under every green tree? And it doesn't just mention that here in 1 Kings 14:23. Otherwise we could think, okay, so it's a weird way, under maybe should have been translated something else, like next to or something, right? No, that's literally what it is in the Hebrew, under every green tree. And that's not the only place it's mentioned. Go to BibleGateway.com. Make sure it's set to the King James Bible and do a search for the term green tree and prepare to be shocked. Under every green tree. Okay, let's think back to Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 2 through 4. We went over that scripture again in yesterday's anti-Vlogmas. And what do we have? We have people celebrating the ancient Christmas, the birth of Baal on December 25th. They went out and they picked out a green tree. They cut it down. They dragged it to wherever they wanted it. They put it in a tree stand and decorated it. And that is a tree idol. And there's various different other forms of tree idols, by the way. There's some cultures that just, like I saw some ancient pictures from India and China, where they had all these decorations of just natural standing trees of different types, and they would put gifts under those trees. So tree worship isn't always carving an idol. It's often leaving the tree in its form and decorating the tree and putting gifts underneath the tree. So I think that is part of under every green tree. Because listen again, 1 Kings 14:23, for they also built them high places and images and groves on every hill and under every green tree. So a high place can also be a symbolic thing. High place, regardless of how high it is. By the way, church steeples, church bells, and how a lot of, especially Roman Catholic churches and a lot of Muslim mosques are often on high hills. Those are high places as well. Now, what does the New Testament tell us about high places? What's our relationship to high places? Let's look at Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, which says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Some of these high places today could possibly be the UFO phenomenon as well. By the way, if you want to go down this rabbit hole, look up the word wickedness in Zechariah chapter 5, and you're going to see the clear Babylonian, demonic UFO, and high places connection. All right, meanwhile, let's look at verse 8. And again, yeah, for all of his strange wives. So that's why Solomon built these high places. That's why his heart, he didn't go fully after the Lord anymore. And then in verse 9, we see that that kindled the anger of the Lord. So when you are partaking of Christmas, it doesn't matter if you're saying, well, in my heart, I am making it about Jesus. You're not going fully after the Lord. Maybe that's what Solomon did. Maybe that's how Solomon, the wisest man in the world, maybe that's how he comforted himself. Maybe he decided, yeah, I know I'm building these high places for my wives who follow a different religion so that they can burn incense unto their gods. I want them to be happy. And so I might participate in a little bit of their rituals and support them. But in my heart, I am still staying true to God. And while they're making it mean that they're burning incense unto their idols, I am making it mean that my prayers are going up to God in the smoke of the incense, and I'm making it mean it's about God. Does that fly with God? No. That is an appearance of evil. It does not matter what you make it mean. It matters what God makes it mean. And the Bible is clear in Old and New Testaments. Our God is a righteously jealous God. He wants all of our heart. He wants our heart to be perfect for him as King David's heart was. So you need to turn from following these traditions and rituals that are dedicated to false gods. It doesn't matter if to you it doesn't mean that. It doesn't matter what it means to you. It matters what it means to God. Look over the scriptures we just went through in today's video. Look over the scriptures that we have been going through all through this series. You can't fight God. You can't fight the truth. Have a blessed day.